Welcome again to Sal Says What. I'm Sal, and I'm at Funny Books, Comics, and Stuff in Lake Hiawatha, New Jersey. Stop on by FunnyRama.com for all your comic book retailing needs. As somewhat of an amateur filmmaker, and as a fan of comic books, obviously, I know the story of 30 Days of Night and how it came to be. How creator Steve Niles wanted it to be a movie, but no studio would back it, so he turned it into a comic book, which was then adapted into a movie. It's actually kind of an inspiring story, and one I'm certain that movie studios are familiar with when they're looking to adapt different properties. Curse from Boom Studios has that same 30 Days of Night kind of feel. Could be the visuals, like the red on white snow cover color motif. It could be the subject matter, though, of a small, remote American town struck with its own brand of classic supernatural horrors. But in this case, Curse is a story about a former football athlete named Lanie Griffin, who's battling his glory days, his in-laws, and the grief over his son's deteriorating medical condition. In point of fact, every major character has their own personal battle going on in this book. Lanie's sister-in-law Nora is battling re-election for sheriff of their small town. Lanie's son is battling his worsening medical condition. Random folk in town are battling against a terrible, violent force in the woods, and local hunters are fighting against themselves for a piece of that bounty. Hell, even in issue 2, we meet a local town disgrace, and he's fighting against his own negative reputation. Curse is all about fighting. That's like the theme of the book, something that our protagonist preaches about very early on in issue 1. I really like that. I love when books actually take a theme and then run with it, like in this book, Curse. In comparing Curse to 30 Days of Night, though, one might jump to the idea that writers Michael Morecci and Tim Daniel took a Fargo-esque story and slapped a supernatural angle on it, but that is not the case. The horror angle of this story is integral in what makes it worth reading. These characters all have some kind of personal internal conflict, which in the real world would be difficult to devastating. But with that added threat of our French colonial wolfman and Lanie's unfortunate gash from said lycanthrope, it only sets to further exacerbate the problems these very human characters are experiencing, and then reflect those very real problems through a horror fantasy lens. And also helps to put some of those problems into perspective, because nothing, I think, makes money problems seem more trivial than a wolfman at your throat. Or at least that's what I'm told. I talked a little bit about the color schemes in the cover, which follow a motif of red against white. It's a really striking image on the comic book rack, but also really helps to explore the message of Curse, of living in a black and white world, and the punishment of thinking in those terms. Cover artist Riley Rosmo applies a sketchy, kinetic image to the characters and their environment, further hammering home that feeling of anticipation, like something's going to leap out at any moment and get you. Colin Lorimer's interior line work for the present-day story is very appropriate for the subject matter. It keeps the book grounded in reality, invoking that feeling like you're watching a really high-quality TV show like on FX or AMC. The flashback horror moments, tackled also by cover artist Riley Rosmo, do a wonderful job of widening that gap between reality and horror fantasy. It is such a great blend. Curse is a limited series from Boom Studios that retails for about $4, available in print from your local comic book store, or on digital download through Comixology. The third issue should drop sometime this month. It's almost the end of March, but we should be seeing it soon, with one more issue to go. I'm really excited to see where this title goes. I feel like there might actually be an opportunity for an adaptation of this work, either on the big or small screen. Thanks a lot for watching the show, everybody. Check out last week's episodes of Sal Says What right over there. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, stop on by LittleHouseOnline.com for even more stuff that we make. And don't forget to stop on by FunnyRama.com for more comic book retailing stuff from this store here.